Hello, Tamara here. Welcome to the show. Today's guest is Roy and Dr. Amy Clark, the co-founders of ARIA Luxury Brands, which are lubricants and authors of the Four Intimacies. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. It's good to be on.
Yes, always good topics. I just talked to someone who was in the sex industry and talked about some lubricants a little bit, but he was less knowledgeable about it. So that's a good segue from that episode.
Exactly.
So So we can either talk about what got you into it, or just talk about the programs in the company and wherever you want to start.
Well, where would you like to start? What would you like to know?
That's usually I ask, how this became a thing for you guys.
Well, so we have a private practice where we help marriages and families and individuals, and most of the couples are struggling with a form of intimacy, either verbal, emotional, physical, or spiritual. And this is our second marriage, and so we wanted to make sure that we could pass on this incredible love that we have for each other to others and not make the mistakes that we made in our first marriages. So that's where the book came.
Wrote Four Intimacies, right? And we were really studying, through all of our years of experience, our first marriage, and then somebody's at the door. And then what makes our relationship work. Right. And we were like, is this a formula? Is this something that we can teach? And so we set forth to write the book. And then for the last 6 years, we've been teaching the principles out of this to marriages, just really seeing it transform relationships. So, But the one area that I think needed extra help was the physical intimacy. And so that's why we designed ARIA Luxury Lubricant. It comes with a conversation card that enhances more connection before sex, because women are always saying, I want to make love to my husband. I just don't feel really emotionally connected. I feel like that's the only time he's physically present or emotionally present is right 5 minutes before intimacy.
Yeah. I have lots of episodes about that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It starts before the bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm telling my guys, if you want to make love every day, which we understand isn't very realistic, but it's actually a question that we ask our clients, what would it take to make love every day? It really kind of shows all the barriers that they're facing. Well, I'd want to talk to him a little bit more. Absolutely. We'd have to do something with the kids. We'd probably have to get up earlier. Yeah. All those things are just barriers that you can overcome to increase your intimacy. But what they didn't do is they didn't make it a priority. And so we thought, if we can create something that reminds people, so it's designed to be displayed. Yeah. And we have these conversation cards that allow a conversation to start days in advance. I tell guys, listen, today's what, Friday? Okay, so I am planning on making love for Monday right now. I'm having conversations today to making love on Monday. And guess what tomorrow is? Tomorrow's for Tuesday, pal. So this is a way of life. It's not like, hey, I'm getting lucky tonight. No, these are conversations that we have on a regular basis. And so if we can have this in the bedroom, if we can have this in the bedroom, conversation and emotional connection, that is actually what you're bringing to physical intimacy. And so,
I was going to say for the audio version, since you can't see it, it is a beautiful bottle. And I read in your literature that it's meant for display, obviously, so you're not hiding anything.
Yeah, it almost looks like a crystal bottle. It's for the listeners, right? It's as if, and this is what the inspiration was. My dad gave me a decanter, this crystal decanter. It's gorgeous. It's got all this etching. My beautiful wife has these lamps that she picked out, and they have these kind of almost similar engravings, this diamond pattern on there. And so we wanted something that was absolutely stunning, beautiful, and I wanted it to reflect my wife because I designed it, and I designed it to reflect her and our relationship. And so it has this combination of feminine and masculine quality to it. It's solid glass. The cap itself is glass.
Pyrex.
It's Pyrex. And so shatterproof, right? Shower safe. But yeah, it's to remind couples to make love and have it be as beautiful as possible. So
yeah. Do you want to share an example of some of the cards or the types of stuff you would talk about or be asked?
Darling, what is something I say that makes you feel loved and adored?
I think it's just when he takes the time to ask me questions and
yeah.
So we walk through verbal, emotional, physical, and spiritual questions on here.
Okay. So each card will have one of each.
Yep.
Yeah.
Each card has 4 questions. So
is the intent to do all 4 or just pick one before, or I guess one that's lacking maybe?
Well, I think if you start with the verbal, because we believe, and we teach it in our book, that verbal actually unlocks emotional, which then unlocks physical, and then all 3 unlock or create a spiritual experience. And so you really need to do them in order. And so we'd like you to start with the verbal intimacy question that will lead into an emotional connection, which then leads into a physical. So
our clients that come to the practice, like we usually have them get the book, and then there's questions at the end of every chapter. And by the time I think physical intimacy is what, chapter 5. And so by the time they actually reach the physical intimacy chapter, they are really building their communication again. They're doing something together. They're learning and exploring about each other. And so the book has lots of questions. And so the physical, or I'm sorry, the intimacy card in that box is good. And hopefully it just shows people that, like, okay, if I put a little forethought and have some conversation, then it's going to increase the pleasure, and you're probably going to be making love more often.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I was just, I just broke up with someone, so this is like, but I used to say, like, we need to talk more, and that would have been helpful, prior to this,
right?
To like have these kind of cards and stuff, And I know online you can get that kind of stuff too, but it's nice that it's like a package deal.
Yeah. We, in that verbal intimacy, we teach clients, and if listeners are going to write down anything, write down this sentence: we ask questions and listen with the intent to understand and a willingness to be influenced. That's the sentence. There's 4 parts to it. And so if you want to have a great relationship, and we have the privilege of working with young couples, young people. I had a client this morning, 16-year-old young man, and he's got a crush on a girl. And he says, how do I make this work? And I said, oh, great question. Learn to ask great questions. Learn to ask follow-up questions. And if all else fails, just say, what else? What else? Oh, yeah. And he's just sitting there smiling, going, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounds so simple, but not common. Yeah. And doable, but just not like, I don't know where it gets lost in translation for a lot of people. But.
It gets lost on both sides, because sometimes it's like you ask a question, hey, how's your day going? Fine. And it's like, don't stop at a 1-word answer, then ask a follow-up question. And then it's like, if you can explore the other person, then eventually they'll start talking. Like every day, we have a 16-year-old daughter. She gets in the car after school. How's your day? Good. And then it's like, okay, I could just end the conversation there. Oh, she doesn't want to talk. Or I can ask some follow-up questions like, do you have any tests today? Or would you have for lunch? And just those kind of generic questions get the conversation going. And 5 minutes into the drive, then I'm hearing all the good stuff.
Yeah. Because that's one thing I was going to bring up too. Like I have, and I think a lot of women potentially have this issue too, to interrupts, because men tend to think before they speak, and it takes them longer to get something out. So we are waiting for the question, thinking they're not going to answer. Mm-hmm. So we ask another one, or just interrupt and start talking. Mm-hmm. And that was very much an issue with him. And he would say, like, you're interrupting me. And then eventually he would just stop talking. So yeah, that is also helpful to understand if you are already experiencing that. Do you have any thoughts on that, or seen that as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, every day at the office. Right. We will actually say, ask the partner, because one of my pet peeves in relationships is like, I think he thinks this. Like, don't ever say, I think they think anything. Ask, clarify. So we would say to a couple, ask your husband what he thinks. Do you get mad when I spend time with my sister? And then before he can even answer, then she's answering for him. And we're just like,
whoa. Yeah. So we have a number of rules, right? One of the rules is no interrupting. Sorry. It's just not going to happen. And I know it feels like a long time, and you can check in, because I know that I had this habit in the beginning of our relationship where she'd be talking and I'm working just to pay attention and, listen, but I wasn't giving her cues like I was listening. It was just, I was right there, intent, and she'd go on and on and on and on and on. And she slapped my hand for the listeners out there. But she did not know that I was following, that there was no kind of engagement there on her part. I'm going, yeah, okay. So she said, can you just acknowledge that you're with me, that you're understanding? Oh, absolutely. Sure. I can do that. And so there's a lot of nodding, there's whatever. But I think couples, they do need to learn the cadence with each other. We tell couples all the time, I think you'd be surprised at our cadence of communication at home, because there's this very slow volley back and forth where it's not that we're like super intentional about it. I mean, we think it through, and it's not like we need to give the perfect answer, but we've just learned to kind of yield some space between us to allow it to happen. And it's not, we just check in, babe, you with me? What are you thinking there? What's going on? Instead of getting frustrated, like, where'd you go? Come on.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful not to do that. And I will say, sometimes I'm like, are you thinking of an answer, or are you just is it taking a while? Like sometimes it was like that long. Mm-hmm. And then, but I will say on the opposite side, when I try to interject, like, like ask, like kind of, he would be like, kind of thinking I was interrupting him by doing that as well.
Yeah.
Or even like commenting like, oh, you mean her? Or like, like ask clarifying questions.
Yeah.
Is that more of a man thing? Or
we did work with a couple and we had them raise their hands because, we also say that communication is like playing catch. It's no fun if just one person holds the ball. Okay. No, it needs to go back and forth. All right. And work on that cadence as well. Take turns. There needs to be this back and forth, because if it's lopsided or one-sided, the other person is just going to get exhausted and say, I've had enough. But we have taught that those who can ask those inquiring questions, those inquisitive questions, explore each other, those are the ones with the best relationships.
Hi, Tamara here. Just wanted to break in and say, if something you're hearing is making you think of a friend who could use this information, feel free to forward it to them right now. They would probably really be grateful for that. Thank you so much. Bye. Yeah, I can see that because, like I said, he would just want me to like not say a thing and just let him say all the things. And I was fine with listening, and I would make an extra effort to really listen. Right. But yeah, I always assumed it should be a little bit of a back and forth, not necessarily the whole time, but a clarification question if needed.
Definitely, for sure. Did he ask questions though?
Like as he was telling a story.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. No, I guess he would just figure if I'm listening, I would get it.
Okay. So and then did he give you the opportunity to speak back? And
it was more like if he was telling a story about something like in the past, like giving a kind of telling a story about something that was happening. So there's no real reason to interject unless I wasn't following. Or I don't know why. I usually don't talk about us, and I guess because we broke up now, I feel freer to do it. Yeah. But especially like if he's telling a story and then I'm driving and I'm like, or he's driving and I'm like, oh, turn here, and it interrupts the flow of it, and then then he'll stop after that because like I should be paying so much attention that I don't do anything.
I don't know
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. But I think that it's really like per couple, like clarifying what feels good, because Roy worked with somebody that Roy would try to track with him and say, uh-huh, yep, and make little noises letting him know that he was tracking with him. And the guy was like, stop doing that. That's so frustrating.
Yeah.
And like, and so Roy sits there like stoic. And for me, that didn't work at all.
Yeah.
Well, like nonverbal communication is very important. Eye contact and like really paying attention, not being distracted, fidgeting and stuff like that. But I said, I actually want those little, okay, makes sense, got it, like a little laugh or whatever. Just let me know that you're with me in the conversation.
And if you're coming up on the exit, please let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I usually don't discuss all of this, but no, I mean it's good to hear that it's not necessarily the ideal either, because I used to feel bad, like, oh my God, I'm interrupting him.
Yeah,
but
sure.
yeah, you should be able to speak a little bit too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, not that he like stopped me, he just didn't tell as many stories. Like he just stopped really telling stories.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's good though to re-engage with those, because I know that there are times when I shut down a little bit, or Amy will shut down a little bit, and there needs to be a couple more priming questions. Hey, babe, where are you? Where were you at with that story? Because I was listening. We walk every morning, and we love our neighborhood. We have neighbors that are walking, so we are always saying hi to our neighbors. We're always stopping. It's just one of those beautiful communities. But I don't know how many times we're in the middle of a story, and here comes John with his two dogs. Hey, John, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. And then we'll keep walking. And all right, so babe, you were saying that, this client was doing this and you were asking this question. Where are you at with you? And so those re-engaging questions, or even, hey, babe, stick with me. Like, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize. Where are you at with that? Talk to me. Yeah.
And that did work a couple times where I was like, I swear I'm listening. I want to hear this. And the other issue is, I'm all about efficiency and being quick and getting things done. And he's more laid back and chill. So we discovered that early on. And that's probably that's really the foundation of why it doesn't work or didn't work. Yeah. Because, I'm trying to do two things at once and he is not about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk, we're doing it. Are there other issues that are very common that you would highly suggest not doing to make a couple's work well?
Absolutely.
Well, I think the one intimacy that both sexes tend to not be proficient in is the emotional intimacy.
Yeah.
Being able to identify and empathize with somebody. There are some really bad habits in that. People have good intentions. Like if Roy's telling a story and then I'm trying to connect with him and say, oh yeah, that happened to me too. And then I interrupt his story trying to connect with him. And then it's like the person trying to tell the story is like, you just made it about you. I was trying to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people are very well intentioned, but that's one of the bad habits we see a lot. Yeah. And then men seem to want to fix everything very quickly. So if their wife is saying, I got in a fight with my best friend, I'll just break up with her, get a new friend, or just like a very quick dismissive answer instead of just saying, wow, that sucks. That must really hurt.
Yeah. That is one thing we did well in the beginning. Mm-hmm. He started fixing and I was like, well, first, can you acknowledge that what I said, and then, and then potentially do that, but don't just, it's almost feeling like you're dismissing it. If you don't say, well, that must be hard, then offer something.
Right. No. So you wanted him to verbally recognize what you had said, and then you wanted him to emotionally connect with you, which is the way it works or the way it needs to work, because that verbal will unlock the emotional. So when we're talking, we're always really listening for each other's emotions. Like you need to pay attention to the person that's speaking. This is not about me. It's about what Amy's going through. So not only am I listening to her words, but I'm also listening for her emotions, because I know that when the time comes, I'm going to say, babe, that was awful. You must feel awful. Or, babe, that's awesome. That's so cool. You got to feel great about that, don't you, babe? I think people only want to empathize when it's sad. That's not true. No. You empathize with every emotion, and then you'll get to see how that actually fixes the situation on its own. Because when she feels safe, that's when the answers are going to come to her.
We have two phrases we use a lot. Hearing is healing. Mm-hmm. And then feelings before fixing. Like, we're like, guys, tattoo this on your arm.
Right.
Address the feelings before you fix it. And women sometimes do that too. And again, really good intent. You can't stand seeing somebody that you love hurting. So that instinct is to just go in and give advice really quick. But it does sound dismissive. And then I think that parents make this error a lot when it comes to their kids. Yeah. They're like, I have to parent. And so they just go in and give lectures or advice instead of really just exploring the emotions and then asking a question like, what do you think you're going to do next? Like, empower your children. Don't just sit there and
give them the answers. Yeah. Let them figure out and learn.
Yeah. Give them options, right? I mean, we're still parents. We want you to do A or B unless you've got a better C. Let me know. But robbing a bank is not an option. So keep the job, whatever.
Yeah. I know we talked about verbal and emotional. Do you want to talk more about the physical? That's the next one, right?
Yeah, that's the next one. Mm-hmm. So we say when it comes to physical intimacy, you provide two things. One, you provide security. We know that on average, it takes a woman 20 minutes to orgasm. If she doesn't feel safe, she probably won't orgasm. If she doesn't feel secure in that relationship. And what we're talking about is not did you lock the door or, do you, you're not going to hit me or cheat on me. No. There's so much more to physical, intimate security than locking the door. It's about
emotional safety
and verbal safety. Like, she needs to know that she can say anything and that she can feel and experience anything. When she feels secure there, then she's going to open up herself for more pleasure. And so that's the second thing that we provide, security and pleasure. And the pleasure, for your listeners, is 10 times better when each person, not just the woman, but each person feels secure. Yeah. So people are like, well, how do I bring security? Oh, great question. Through verbal and emotional intimacy. Mm-hmm. So you can't just jump to number 3. You need 1 and 2 to have 3, not just to get 3. So, yeah. Oh, Marcy. Oh. Yeah, perfect.
Spirituality. Yeah. Spiritual side.
Yeah. Spiritual intimacy means a couple different things. We do work with clients who are not of a faith background or a different religion than we are. And so we think that spiritual intimacy is a culmination of the first 3. When you have verbal, emotional, and physical intimacy all working together beautifully, it does bring something spiritual. You can't put your finger on it. There is just a connection with your partner that is
bigger than yourself.
Yeah, it's hard to define. And so it can also mean like having a shared faith. And again, we see people do that right, and we see a lot of people do that wrong.
So my background, I was a pastor for 10 years, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, a long time ago. Amy is faith-based counselor. And so we get couples coming in like, we love God, we love Jesus, but the marriage sucks. Yeah. Well, that's because you didn't learn how to communicate and you didn't learn how to empathize. And you thought that the sex was good, but it dried up because you didn't have verbal or emotional. And then you just kind of ran to the church or thought Jesus was going to save it. And guess what? It doesn't work that way. And so we think that when couples experience verbal, emotional, and physical, they actually get to know a God who's bigger than themselves, but who's so good that he longs for his children to have this incredible verbal, emotional, and physical intimacy. We kind of say it tongue in cheek. God invented the orgasm. This was his idea. Like, don't go taking, claiming that for yourselves. This was his idea. So maybe you want to incorporate that into your ideologies as well. And so we encourage couples to seek a God that's bigger than them, that is good, and that is mysterious. And people are like, why mysterious? Well, a mysterious God keeps you seeking, keeps you learning. We encourage couples to pursue spirituality together in this non-judgmental, non-condemning atmosphere where they seek a God that is bigger than themselves, that is good, and that is mysterious. And
or even, the Bible talks about how the marriage is supposed to reflect the way that Christ loves the church. And so if somebody does not have a faith background, then we say, we would like your relationship to have those three qualities. One, to believe that the relationship is good, to have a positive belief system about your partner and the relationship. Two, that the bigger than me, it's like that the we is greater than me. That together, like I'm good on my own, but together with Roy, we're very powerful. This is better. And then the mysterious part, we see couples that are together for like 20, 30 years, and they keep saying, but you weren't like that when I met you. Well, oh my gosh, I hope not. Like, just shoot me if I'm the same person as like I was when I was 20 years old. Like, we want to always be exploring each other and a faith, if that's your thing.
Right.
I was going to ask about, because I know like some religious people are taught, growing up, like sex is bad, sex is dirty, don't do it till you're married, and then they don't know what they're doing because they never had it till they got married, and or just what are your thoughts on that part of it?
We deal with that every day. Yes. Yeah. That's why we'd like to talk about this God that invented the orgasm. He is a God that desires for his children to make love on a regular basis. The only reason for the orgasm is pleasure. And so obviously he is the idea is that we are intended for pleasure. And so it is something that we pursue. It's also something that we protect, though. This isn't, we're not out sleeping with everybody in the world. Okay. It's a very intimate experience. Physical intimacy is the only intimacy that you can provide for each other.
That you can't get other places.
Oh, yeah. That you can't get other places, that you only provide for each other.
Yeah. Like I can get verbal and emotional and spiritual from other people, but physical intimacy is only here.
Right.
So, but yeah, it does take time. Like we've seen religion damage a lot of people and relationships. And so there is a way to unwind that, though. Like,
for sure.
To like have somebody really ask themselves, like, when I say the word sex, like, is there a recoil? Is there, like, do you feel yourself constrict and feel closed off? Or does your heart feel open and comfortable with that? And there is we study a lot about the brain and neuroplasticity and the ways that we can reprogram the brain. And so there are ways around that, but people don't talk about sex, even in therapy. It's really hard to get them to like communicate and to share, and such a safe place.
Yeah. So yeah, having a podcast about sex, I definitely am aware of that. But at least on this show, like everyone is pretty open, obviously. But yeah. Yeah. And do you want to talk about how people can work with you or reach you, or just more how to find your stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find us at ARIA Lux Life. That's ARIA LUXE LIFE. ARIALuxLife.com. And you can get our book there, our lube there, and you can even reach out and set up a consultation with us.
Okay. And then do you have any like final thoughts or takeaways you want to leave?
All right, babe.
No, I would just say that it is possible to have a great relationship no matter where you're at right now. And so like we work with couples that think that they're too far gone, or like, I don't know if we're capable of this. And I would say communicate with your partner, know that there's help out there. It's never too late. Yeah. And don't settle for good.
Yeah.
Make it great.
Yeah, I would say that you were created for an extraordinary love. Absolutely. And even though you've personally been through this breakup, I would say, let's do everything we can to find an extraordinary love for you and have that relationship. It is doable and you are worth it. Absolutely. You're worth it.
we've had a lot of people post breakup or divorce, and they read our book and they're like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have read this before.
Yeah.
And then so they read the book, even though they're not in a relationship. And then they're like, all right, now I feel like I have my toolbox full so that when I go into my next relationship, I'm better prepared. So we tried to put everything that we knew into that book, and
so far it's working.
It's working.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that. And I had a similar thing where I knew a lot of stuff, and I would just continue to do what I knew not to do to him. So yeah, it's helpful to keep it a reminder, and having the book on your nightstand would probably be a better reminder. So, all right. Well, thank you very much for being on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us on.
Yes. And if you love this episode, be sure to tell your friends about it and rate it as well. So, all right. Thanks again. Alrighty. Bye.
Great day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. Sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to point out that there is a send us a text message at the very beginning of the description, and you can use that to send an anonymous question or comment. So I'd really appreciate it. All right. Thanks.